If you enjoy the content on this channel, please like and subscribe. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a 2023 action-adventure game developed by Respawn Entertainment and published by Electronic Arts. The game is a sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, released in 2019, taking place 5 years after the events of the previous game, and continues the adventure of young Jedi Knight Cal Kestis and his friends that continue in their struggle to survive the tyranny of the Galactic Empire. Star Wars Jedi Survivor was released on PlayStation 5, Windows and Xbox Series XS on April 28, 2023. The game received generally positive reviews from critics, though the PC version received criticism for technical issues. The game also retains many of its gameplay mechanics from its predecessor and also introduces new elements. In lightsaber combat, Cal Kestis has access to 5 different lightsaber types, each with unique features. You can also use a single blade and double blade stances from the previous game, namely Fallen Order, and the special dual wield blade attack is expanded onto its own stance. A new stance has also been added that uses the Kylo Ren style crossguard lightsaber, which requires players to pay attention to timing windows to use effectively. There's also the introduction of Cal's Force Slow ability, which was previously used frequently in short bursts to overcome obstacles and slow individual enemies. This has now been reworked in Survivor to purely function as an ultimate ability that can be unleashed in battle after a long cooldown to slow the entire world around Cal, similar to Kylo Ren's Force Stasis ability in Star Wars The Force Awakens. The level design of Jedi Survivor features a larger, more expansive maps populated with more non-player characters compared to Fallen Order. The story takes place 5 years after the events of Fallen Order. The game follows Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, portrayed by Cameron Monaghan, as he fights the Empire while searching for a place to hide from them. Cal's allies include Jedi Master Sia Junda, played by Deborah Wilson, former pilot of the Stinger Mantis Grease Dristis, played by Daniel Roebuck, a small droid, namely BD-1, and Mirren, played by Tina Ilov, one of the last surviving members of the Night Sister clan, Dathomir. Introduced is Bo Dakuna, played by Noshir Dalal, a rebel fighting for the safety of his daughter Kata. Other characters include Jedi Master Endo Cordova, played by Tony Amendola, BD-1's former owner, now helping Seer recover the Jedi Archive, and ZN-A4, a droid from the High Republic era formerly owned by Jedi Master Santari Key. Cal fights many enemies during his journey, such as the Pawanan Senator Dahu Sajan, Imperial Commander Lang Denvik, played by Gideon Emery, the Ninth Sister, played by Misty Lee, who's trained by the Sith Lord Darth Vader, played here by Scott Lawrence, as part of the Imperial Inquisitors program. Former High Republic Jedi Dagan Gera, played by Cody Fern, who seeks to reach Tanalorr, and his right-hand man, Jendai Ravis, played by DC Douglas, the leader of the Bedlam Raiders. Tamura Morrison voices Boba Fett, having portrayed the character several times previously. The development for the sequel was announced in January 2022. The game's title, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, was announced in May of that same year, along with the debut of a CGI teaser trailer at the Star Wars Celebration. Unfortunately, after the game's launch, many reviewers noted the performance problems with the PC version. PC Gamer's review highlighted an average of 35 frames per second, which dips as low as 15 to 20 frames in cutscenes. EA released a day one patch to improve the game's performance on PC and promised to release more patches in the following weeks. EA stated that the significant reason for poor performance is players using Windows 10 with advanced processors built for Windows 11. In Japan, the PlayStation 5 version of Star Wars Jedi Survivor sold 16,742 physical units, making it the 7th best-selling retail game during its first weekend in release. In the United Kingdom, the game launched sales were 30% higher than that of its first one. In April and May of 2023, Star Wars Jedi Survivor was the most downloaded game on the US and European PlayStation Store. The game would also go on to win the Best Score soundtrack for a video game at the 66th Annual Grammy Awards. Now look, I've always been quite a fan of the Star Wars universe. I wouldn't say I'm the ultimate fan, but I do enjoy the stories, particularly the first 3 movies. Unfortunately, a good game, truly representing the layered nuances and overall fantastical nature of the Star Wars universe, had never really been made or hit the mark. I mean, don't get me wrong, there have been plenty of games made, but none of them really captured the essence of the Star Wars mythology. That was until Star Wars Jedi The Fallen Order. It was the first game for me that really captured and understood the Star Wars folklore. Cameron Monaghan acted superbly here as Cal Kestis, for the actor of course most famously known for his role in the show Shameless. This was a complete and utter departure, and yet he brought Cal Kestis to life with a sense of naivety, purity, yet undeniable strength. In this one though, Cal is more jaded, angry and disillusioned. and Cameron fundamentally brings it to life quite well, albeit that at times he can come across a bit moody and lacking in emotion. It's kind of a one-note performance from Cameron in this one. So naturally, after playing Fallen Order, I was terribly excited when I saw Survivor was being launched. This really though is a story within a story. It's the second game of a trilogy, so there's no real conclusion at the end of it. Don't get me wrong, the story is very captivating and fascinating, if not somewhat predictable. The new character of Bode is introduced in this game. He's a compelling addition, and overall quite well-rounded and interesting, but for me, I could see it coming a long way away that unfortunately he was going to be the person who turned upon Cal and his team. So in many ways I found that somewhat predictable. Unfortunately, the untimely deaths here of both Seer and Jedi Master Enna Cordova are very sad, yet you almost felt were needed in order to move the story along. I enjoyed now the burgeoning love story here between Cal and Merrin, and would have liked the game maybe to explore this a little bit deeper. The game's graphics are excellent, and the storyline, albeit like I said acting as a sort of linking piece, is very good, interesting and introspective. And of course, who can not but be overly excited when of course we see the wonderful Darth Vader make another appearance on screen. The gameplay is similar to the first one, although of course more expansive, and at times it can be somewhat frustrating, particularly scenes when you are trying to leap from building to building and don't get the timing right. Also, the idea of respawning all of enemies once you die can be, like I said, very frustrating, but then I suppose it adds another depth of challenge to the game. The boss fights are incredibly difficult and challenging, and you really have to be in form, as it were, to play these. I played the game on a console and found the frame rate to be fine, although sometimes some of the graphics would take time to fully develop on screen, particularly in a story mode sequence. Look, this is fundamentally a good continuation from Fallen Order. The gameplay is challenging, demanding, and will keep you on the edge of your seat. The story is good without evolving too much, even if it comes across as somewhat predictable, but you've also got to remember this is now part of the, of course, wider Disney universe, so having some more adult themes added to a game like this may be asking a bit too much of the creators. Overall, it was an enjoyable experience, and I'll be interested to see how the trilogy comes to a conclusion. Star Wars Jedi Survivor gets an 8.5 out of 10.